Hello, everyone. This is Eric. So, why appreciations? Let's take a look at some numbers. Then let's dive into this exciting area, real estate appreciation, especially in the Bay Area. We all know that homes here tend to appreciate. As we will show, it's actually not uncommon for home to appreciate 10% in a year. That's actually pretty impressive for a high home price area, right? But it's not just that 1 year from the next that there's appreciated or jumped in home value. And it's that over time you see that depreciation going up very often. And over a period of time, the compounding effect can be very powerful on your property. We're going to also show you that if you look back at the interest rate, except during COVID, the interest rate is particularly low. A lot of the time, interest rates are not particularly low, but home value kept rising. And some of you may remember that the 2008 financial crisis, didn't that hurt us quite a bit? And the answer is yes, it did give us a couple of years of double-digit home price decline. That's significant. But even if you held on to your property for a reasonable amount of time, just like this chart shows, which is if you have held on to your property for 10 years, which in terms of real estate investing is not particularly a long period of time, then it would have appreciated. Actually, go past 2008, and then the appreciation actually become a lot more significant. So the other thing that we want to say is that because we work with mortgages and lenders, and then after 2008, a lot of the lending rules have changed. The chances of another 2008 scenario, it's pretty slim. The days when you can purchase a property with no income, no job, and no down payment simply don't exist anymore. This is some of the points that we've talked about just now. And then the couple of things we want to cover is that the appreciations, it's on the whole home values. It actually includes your financed portion plus as well as your down payments. And then especially, so this is much more powerful because of this compounding effect and the ability that you put 20% down, you are able to finance 80% of the purchase price. Yet the appreciations on 100% of the home value. Another thing that we're going to show towards the end is that the rent increases. We also look at rent increases in the Bay Area. It's pretty steady, but then as you would see, it's still less than appreciations by quite a few percentage point.
So Eric, before you go on, so all the slides we're showing here with the graphs, this is actually from public data available from the Federal Reserve. So we're just using
Yes.
the data that they have provided. And if you want to study any other neighborhoods or any other area, you can certainly do that from the Fred website.
So this is a year-over-year appreciation over the past 20 years. And as the Elsie mentioned, this data is publicly available. You can go to St. Louis Federal Reserve. They have a different series of housing data. This is particularly for San Jose, Sunnyvale, and Santa Clara, basically the South Bay area. And the data, we've also looked at the data for San Francisco, San Mateo, and Redwood Cities, this San Francisco Peninsula area. The trend is also pretty similar. And you can also compare it to the more famous Case-Shiller CoreLogic Index. They all look similar at the end, especially over a period of 10 to 20 years. So what we want to point out is what we've said at the beginning, is that most of the year you're looking at positive appreciations. And the appreciation actually can be 10% or more. It's actually not uncommon. There are a few years where we have home value decrease of a few percent, except for 2008 and 2009. We dropped quite a bit more. This is the kind of graph you want to see, kind of data that you want to see if you want to look for some area to invest in, whether you think that appreciation would be significant. We talked a little bit about, so what is the relationship between interest rate and appreciation? Will you only get appreciation during when we have super low or very low interest rate? If you look at this chart where we overlaid interest rate over the same 20 years old period, you can see that except 3% may then most of the time the interest rate is higher. If you go back a little bit further, you can see that 7% interest rate is not uncommon back in the early 2000s. What it speaks to us is that this represents more in terms of the housing demand. So the appreciations represent the housing demands that keep people coming to the area, keep people buying home. They will buy it when they can afford it, when we can make the number work. Over time, they would lower their housing costs, as we all do through refinances. This is going back to the same slide that we've shown at the beginning. All these appreciation going up and down, it's nice and fine. Why don't we talk a little bit about normal case where people hold the property for a number of years? As a national average, people hold their home for about 12 years before they sell it. And in the Bay Area, generally, that's a few years longer. So let's just take a look at around number 10 years. If you use the same data by looking at how you're doing over a 10-year period, from the first bar on the left, it says that you've bought your home at 2000, then you decide to sell it in 2010. How much have your home value appreciated? Your home value have appreciated 24% during that period of time. Then in 2001, it's slightly less. So this is actually a 10-year period where you have gone through 2008 and 2009. Then as 2008 and 2009 fade into a more distant memory, the appreciation has become more significant. The other things that, one of the things that as a real estate investor and that we look at, and as this seminar is about, is cash flow versus appreciation. So it's a decision that all of us looked at. So this is the rental increase for the San Francisco, Oakland, Hayward area, where data is available from the Federal Reserve. You can see that rent increases pretty steadily. So as Elsie mentioned, if you invest for cash flow, it's a pretty safe investment. And also the same apply to the Bay Area, where rent steadily goes up. As you look at the number, the percentage, you will see that the appreciation, even though it fluctuates a bit more, it's still significantly, it's actually quite a few percentage points above the rent increases. What it tells us, what we learn from this is that if you are solely focusing on rental income, you may not consider the Bay Area because of its high prices and then in owning the home. And then because relatively speaking, the cash flow is not as much, or maybe even negative in most cases to start with. You may have skipped the Bay Area, then you may have missed and the appreciation that comes with owning the property in this area.